Rubank Elementary for Flute, Lesson 7. We have a lot of new content to get through. So if you have a look at the very top of your book, you will notice that Rubank has very helpfully outlined all of the new content that we need to discuss today. So first we have our flat symbol, that little b. Now that basically tells me that whatever pitch it's sitting next to, I need to play that pitch half a step lower, or I need to flatten that pitch. We then have the sharp symbol, which is the little hashtag. That tells me that I need to play the note half a step higher. And then we have the natural symbol. Now this one tells me that I need to play the plain, boring old note, nothing fancy. No sharpening, no flattening, just play it as is. Number 4, we have our treble clef and our 3/4. So the 3/4 is telling us that there are going to be 3 crotchet or 3/4 note beats per bar. Number 5, we have our treble clef and a little C. So the little C is common time, and that tells me that there are going to be 4 crotchet beats or 4/4 note beats in every bar. So the top number always tells me how many, the bottom number always tells me what type. Number 6 is some of the notes that we've learnt. We have our F, our A, our C, and our E. So that is all the notes on the spaces. Number 7 is a P. So P stands for piano, and it means soft. And then we have F, which is forte or loud. 9 and 10, we have 2 new notes. We have our low F. Our low F is played the same way as our high F. 1, 2, 3, 4, pinky, thumb. So our low F is played exactly the same way as our high F. The only difference is that we need to direct the airstream down to the ground rather than up to the ceiling to make sure that we're getting the low note. We also need to think about the air speed. There's slow warm air to get low notes, fast air to get high notes. And then we have our low E, same as our high E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pinky, thumb. And again, slow air directed down to the ground as opposed to slightly faster air directed up to the ceiling. Next we have our repeat sign, which is the 2 black dots. Now often that will be used at the very end of a piece, particularly in these pieces. It can be used throughout a piece though. And last but not least, we have 4 new notes at the very end. We have our G, 3 fingers, thumb and pinky. We have our A, 2 fingers. We have our B natural, 1 finger, thumb on the single thumb key. And we have our C, which is first finger, pinky, no thumb. Exercise 1. This is the first time that we've seen a key signature. So you'll notice we have our treble clef, then we have a little B. Now the little B tells me that I need to make sure that every B in this piece is flattened unless I'm otherwise told. First bar, we have our C and then our B flat. I'm going to be using my short B flat, which is my first finger, pinky, and my double thumb key. I can leave my finger on this double thumb key all the way through this piece because there are no B naturals. The only time I want to take this off this key is if there's a B natural. Exercise 1. 1, 2, 3. It is completely normal to have a really airy, soft sound. Low notes are quite difficult. And until you figure out the mouth and where to put it and how to push the air down, it's going to be quite challenging to get volume out of those notes or even get a clear sound that's something other than air. So don't stress out too much if it's not sounding quite like mine. And experiment. If you move it left, if you move it right, how does that change the sound? Exercise 2. We're now moving into our F major chord or F major scale skill. Now what does this mean? An F major is a scale. It tells me that we're starting on F because of the namesake. We're going to finish on an F, and because I know it's F major, I know it has 1 flat, and therefore every B in this piece needs to be flattened. So I'm going to play F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. In whatever pattern, whatever order the composer tells me to, those are the notes that are going to be in this piece or this song. Exercise 2. 1, 2, 3. Exercise 3. 1, 2, 3.
Remember breathing, we still want to be aiming for every 2 to 4 bars. 4 is probably a little bit ambitious at this point, but definitely be aiming for every 2 bars. So in order to do that, you need to make sure that you're tonguing correctly. So you need to exhale, and as you exhale, your tongue will go to the top of your mouth, preferably not between your front teeth, a little bit further back. And you need to lightly drop your tongue or lift your tongue up to stop the airstream and then drop it back down to let the air go. So that is how we are going to be tonguing. So to give you an example on a single note, I'm going to choose a D. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow that note, and then my tongue is going to go to the top of my mouth and drop very quickly. And that's going to create a tonguing or an articulation. It stops the air when the tongue is up, and then it drops down and the air can come back through, and then when I want to create the next note, I put it up and drop it down. And it needs to be really quick and really light. So the D. So I'm holding that note, and now what I want to do is while I hold that note, I want to put my tongue up to the top of my mouth and drop it. So I'm actually not stopping the air with my lungs, I'm stopping it by putting my tongue to the top of my mouth. Then I want to slowly increase it. So practice that. See how many times or how many Ds you can play in one breath. So not only can this be a breathing exercise, it's also great for your tonguing. The next challenge is to be able to get your tongue and your fingers working together. Exercise 4. Again, we have that little flat symbol in the key signature, which tells me this piece is going to be in F major, and also that every single B in this piece needs to be flattened unless otherwise stated. So there are no accidentals in this piece, there's no natural signs and no sharp signs, so I do know that every single B has to be a B flat. Once again, I'm going to place my thumb on the double thumb key on the back. There is another B that you can use, it's the long B flat with the 2 fingers. It's a lot harder to use. 90% of the time I use the double thumb. So use that, and remember it can stay on for every single note except the B natural, of course. Exercise 4. 1, 2, 3. Remember breathing, 2 to 4 bars. Exercise 5. Again, we have our B flat in the key signature, so every single B in this piece has to be flattened. We also know that this piece is in F major because we have that flat in the key signature and the last note is an F. Plus the title kind of gives it away, melody in F major. We also have a P or piano at the very, very start, which tells me that this piece needs to be played softly. 1, 2, 3. There is a repeat sign at the end, so I should technically be going back to the start and playing the whole thing again, but for the sake of this recording, I won't do that. Exercise 6, Duet in F major. I'll be playing the first part, Then I'll play the second part, and I will also layer the two parts together so that you can hear what it sounds like when played as a duet. For your practice, start by learning part 1 with my recording of part 1. Then learn part 2 with my recording of part 2, and then see if you can play against my other recording. So you play part 1 while my recording plays part 2. See if you can do that. It's great for ensemble skills and it can be really challenging. 1, 2, 3. Part 1. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that this piece has a flat in the key signature, so I know it's in F major. However, there are also accidentals. We have our natural symbol and our sharp symbol. So first line, second last bar, we have that hashtag, which is the sharp symbol. So instead of playing a 4-finger F, we need to make sure that we're playing the F sharp, which means that instead of the first finger on my right hand, I need to use my third finger. Then you'll notice the next F in that bar has another accidental, which tells me that I'm no longer playing an F sharp, I need to play an F natural, which means I'm swapping my fingers over. You have this in part 1 and part 2. Difference is the airstream needs to go up for high notes and down for low notes. Remember, fast air directed up to get high notes, slow air directed down to get low notes. Part 2. 1, 2, 3,